This video was actually going to be about what are the highest paying jobs in the US. I did some research, I looked at what are the highest paying jobs. I'll be honest guys, they are super boring. Something like 22 out of the top 25 highest paying jobs in the US are all in healthcare profession. So I was thinking like, man, this just isn't interesting. How can we change this? How can we add a twist to this? So I thought, hey, what are the most attractive jobs? If you're a male, that is, because 90% of the people who watch this channel are male and they're aged between 25 to 35. I think 50% are aged between 25 to 35.
Okay, let's go.
And I thought to myself, okay, what are the jobs that are most attractive to women and how much do they pay and whether it's worth actually getting a job in one of those fields. But before we go into what are the most attractive jobs, let's quickly go through what are the highest paid jobs. Well, the mean annual salary. So I have this chart from Investopedia where they've taken the information from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And we can see at the bottom of the list is Computer and Information Systems Manager, basically IT, and then at the top of the list is cardiologist. Range that it changes is actually, I think, quite a bit because the difference between the bottom and the top is pretty much over double. I think when I first looked at this, I was really surprised at how many of the jobs were healthcare jobs. I was expecting business people, entrepreneurs, whatever, I thought they would be the highest earning. But chief executive, which is what, like 19th on the list, is well below all of these other healthcare jobs. And I guess it makes sense. Like a CEO at a company, you know, if you look at the mean average salaries, yeah, they're probably not getting paid as much as some of these other people are. So yeah, if you want to earn a lot of money, get into the healthcare industry. But if you don't want to have a life, also get into the healthcare industry, because I have 3 cousins who are doctors, and one of them, he's a surgeon, and he's working like 11, 12-hour days, and he's in his late 30s. So like, do you really want to be doing that? Even if the money is good? It's interesting. I think he's trying to figure out now as well, like what to do next. What is the way to maximize his income without having to put in 11 or 12-hour shifts? So now let's get into what are the most attractive jobs for a man according to women. We'll start at the bottom. This one really surprised me, to be honest. I just wasn't expecting it because I was going to become one of these. Number 10 is an accountant. To me, that's really surprising because, let's be honest, accountants aren't usually the most interesting people, quite boring. I'm so glad I didn't become an accountant, but it is seen as the 10th most attractive job that a man could have according to women. The pay for an accountant, average pay, is $52,000 a year, which also doesn't seem like that much for an accountant. My accountant is definitely earning a lot more than that, and other accountants that I know are earning a lot more than that. But then I guess this is the average, right? So if you have junior accountants, they're obviously not earning 6 figures a year, but I know most experienced accountants are earning 6 figures a year. Like, it's just a given. Number 9 is mechanics. Again, this was a surprise to me. Mechanics. I think maybe it's just because mechanics are seen as, you know, quite manly, masculine job. The average salary for a mechanic was $42,000, which, yeah, is actually one of the lowest on the list out of the, actually, no, it's not. There are 2 other jobs above this that I'm looking at that are lower than mechanics. But anyway, mechanics, $42,000 a year. I think that sounds about right for a mechanic. Number 8 is software developers and programmers. This was a surprise to me. This was a big surprise to me. I'm surprised women find this attractive, to be honest. Who am I to judge, right? Like, if women find it attractive, they find it attractive. This is also one of the highest paying on the list. This comes in at 4th on the list out of the 10 on income. So the average salary for a software developer / programmer is $80,000. Now, of course, the great thing about software development and programming is that the range is massive. So sure, you can earn $50,000, $60,000, you know, up to 6 figures doing software development. But there are a lot of software developers, there are lots of programmers out there who are earning $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, sometimes multi-millions a year, depending on where they're working. Like, for example, so many of the employees who work at Nvidia are earning millions a year. Nvidia now have an issue with their employees leaving because they're earning too much money, which is just hilarious, I think. Employees at Nvidia are earning so much money that they're sort of earning enough to retire with, and they're just leaving. So some of the best developers, some of the best programmers are leaving Nvidia because they're earning so much money there. And because the stock just keeps going up in price, because that's how they're earning their money. They're getting their salary, but then they're getting stocks as well. And those stocks just keep shooting up. And yeah, they're just walking away with a ton of cash. The other thing with a software developer is that it's quite easy to start your own software company, your own business, whatever, it's super, super easy. Now, the amount of people that actually do it is obviously not that many. Being a software developer and having those skills, yeah, you can make a lot of money. Number 7 is construction workers. And unfortunately, they're also the ones that are paid the least in this list. They're paid on average $24,000 a year, which really isn't much, I'll be honest with you. $24,000 a year. I think, again, maybe women find this job attractive because usually they're quite masculine men, quite muscly men or whatever, you know, the type of guy who does construction. Some women like, which I completely understand. The next one definitely makes a lot of sense. Firefighters at number 6. Firefighters, they earn an average salary of $56,000, near enough $57,000. I think firefighters should be paid a lot more than that. They are literally saving people's lives. Like, being a firefighter must be one of the toughest jobs, and they're only getting paid like $57,000, which is wild to me. But I completely understand why this is seen as one of the most attractive jobs to women. Like, it just makes sense. Firefighters are just cool, man. Like, I think universally everyone agrees that firefighters are cool. Number 5, project managers, and they earn really good money. They're 3rd on the list for income. They earn $85,000 a year on average. Project managers, I don't know if that's a surprise or not. Just seems quite normal, I guess, finding project managers attractive. Maybe it's because of the type of job it is. They're managing people, they're managing projects, they're telling people what to do. Again, they're in a sort of like commanding position, which I can sort of understand. I can see why that's seen as attractive. Number 4, which this one was surprising to me, engineers. Engineers earn an average of $78,000 a year, which is great money. Engineers usually aren't like seen as cool people. I guess it depends on what you're doing as an engineer. It really totally depends. But again, it's quite surprising. I would sort of have engineers and software developers in the same sort of bracket when it comes to like social confidence, you could say. Because let's be honest, you know, if you're a developer, software developer or whatever, they do have the stereotype of being quite introverted, not very socially adept, you could say. I would align engineers in there as well. But hey, 4th most attractive, who am I to argue with that? Number 3 though, carpenters. Again, this one I completely understand. Carpenters, average salary of $41,000 a year. So not that high on the list when it comes to the average income, but number 3, that's quite high in the table, in the ranks. Number 2, lawyers. Completely get it, lawyers, and they come in 2nd for income, $121,000 a year on average salary. Makes sense though. But again, lawyers, man, like they have very difficult jobs. Like they have to work sometimes more than 12 hours a day. Most of it can be quite boring, but I guess if they're doing very interesting stuff, like maybe they're on like a murder case or something else that's quite brutal like that, it can be quite stressful because you might be defending someone who is guilty, but you have to do your job defending them. So yeah, lawyers is one of those jobs where I also think, right, this is something that I think needs to change. I think lawyers and the whole sort of law industry and everything, that is one industry that is completely ripe for AI involvement, for AI to come in and just replace a ton of people. Because man, so like lawyers and stuff, they're way too expensive. Like they just are. Like I'm sorry if I'm offending any lawyers here, but you guys just are way too expensive to do anything. Like when I've gone to buy a house, when I've gone to lease an office, when I've just gone to do anything like that, I've always had to hire a lawyer. And from what they're doing, it just seems so basic. Now, of course, that's me being, you know, not really fully understanding the job, but like I'm paying them thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars to do a job that seems quite basic. But then who am I to say that, right? Because it's the same as like, it doesn't matter how much time they put in. It's the fact that they know the skills to do the job in the first place. Anyway, I do think lawyers, that's a job that is ripe for disruption. AI is going to come along and just replace a lot of the sort of middle stuff, a lot of the lower end stuff when it comes to lawyering. Is that the right word? So number 1 on the list, which isn't a surprise, and it's also number 1 when it comes to average salary for the top 10, that is doctors. So yeah, women find doctors the most attractive, which I also completely understand. You're doing something that is usually somewhat saving someone's life or something like that. I can see why it's seen as attractive. And the average salary for a doctor on this list is $180,000, which is by far and away one of the highest on the list. There is actually one that's higher, and that is CEOs, but CEOs was 14th on the list. Now there's 25 jobs here, but I don't want to go through every single one, so I just went through the top 10. But CEOs come in at 14 when it comes to attractiveness, but they earn the most, $190,000, which makes sense. They're running companies. But yeah, doctors being at the top of the list, like I said, no surprise. I can see why people find doctors attractive. And I feel like growing up as a kid as well, my parents, grandparents, everyone always used to say, hey, become a doctor. Like doctors are, it's a great job to do and stuff like that. But man, like when I see doctors now, the jobs they have and the stuff they do and how hard they have to work, I'm so glad I didn't try and do that. I wouldn't even be smart enough, but I'm so glad I didn't try. In this survey, by the way, they asked 1,000 different people. So it's not a massive sample, it's not like tens of thousands, but I think 1,000 is a good number to see what is the most attractive. But they did also do it for women. So which jobs men find the most desirable in a woman. And yeah, I'll put it on the screen so I don't have to go through every single one. But yeah, at the top, nurses, second, elementary school teachers, and 3, doctors. I think that sort of makes sense. Number 4, secretaries. I think all of this would make sense to me. Like, I think if I were looking for, or if I were surveyed on what jobs I find attractive in women, I think this list does make sense. But they did also ask, what are the least attractive jobs for both women and men? So least attractive jobs for men according to women. This list doesn't surprise me. Number 1, fast food workers. Number 2, janitors. Number 3, truck drivers, cashiers, maids, dishwashers, bill collectors. It's quite an interesting one. Salespersons, police officers. Now, police officers at number 9 actually quite surprised me. I would have thought police officer would have been seen as an attractive job, not a least attractive job. Politicians, yeah, I get it. Politicians in general, just to me, aren't attractive whatsoever. But yeah, I completely get it. It's just a shame that, you know, these are seen as the least attractive, because fast food workers, janitors, truck drivers, like these are people we need day to day. Like these are people who are doing jobs that have to be done. But yeah, it's just one of those things. People find attractive what they find attractive. Like we can't really do anything about it. That's just the way it works. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys find the most attractive. I will leave links to these studies and stuff, the research that I based this video off in the description if you guys want to have a look as well. You should also check out one of my other videos. I did a video recently on high income skills, what jobs I think in 2025 will earn you really good money. So make sure to check that out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.